Hey guys, welcome to Coaching with Chris. I'm pretty excited because I love taking originators from all over the country and being able to talk about their secret sauce, what they're doing, and how they're winning in the second quarter. So welcome. Please share, like, comment, do all those things. That helps us being able to grow Coaching with Chris. And also, we love to be able to have you ask questions throughout this. So if you're listening live today, please ask us some questions because it keeps the momentum and we're making sure that you're getting the value that you deserve and need. Number two, also make sure you're keeping Windsor in your pocketbook. If you haven't checked out our medical professional loan, our doctor loan, as we call it, or even our new non-QM products, please check those out. We are having an overwhelming success. I literally think I have the best non-QM senior underwriter running this whole department in the country. And please utilize him because he loves to be able to be challenged with your situations. But enough about that. I'm excited to bring on our next guest. I love Wisconsin. I love that market. I love what he's doing. He just came from the playbook, being able to spend a couple days with him. Adam, are you on?
I am, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. So this wonderful world of mortgage, somehow, some way you got introduced to mortgage. Tell us how this journey of yours started.
Oh, it's a journey. All right. How much time we got? A lot of folks just come into this, by happenstance, but my journey is a little bit different. I've been around the home buying journey my entire life. So my family, my grandpa started and owned and operated a manufactured modular home sales company, started back in the 70s. Wow. And continued to go through all the way to 2008, 2009. We kind of know what happened in that market. At that time, actually, I was in college. So I graduated high school in 2007. Was in college, getting a business degree, doing the thing. Had my real estate license going through that phase. And we all kind of know what happened in that time frame. The family business struggled through it, they were in major growth mode, had a lot of lot models on floor plan, and ended up in a pretty interesting scenario. So in the middle of my college career, I ended up having to kind of shift gears because the plan was get the business degree, come back, help the family business, be a part of that, run that. And, it ended up not being the thing. So we shut the doors on that in 2010. And, my journey kind of flipped around. At that point, it was, not awesome for the family, right? But I took a very curious approach to what happened, right? And kind of breaking down. I got introduced to a lot of personal finance books by a business professor. And started down the journey, the rich dad, poor dad journey, learning about big business models, all that good stuff, right? And just kind of took a curious approach to it and diving into what happened? Why did we get here? What can I learn from that, right? So even at that age, I just started on that journey, ended up as a personal banker in the banking world, climbed through that a little bit, was always curious about mortgage. During that journey, and ended up landing as a mortgage originator with a local bank here in Wisconsin in 2014. It was. Okay. So along that journey, like I said, curiosity was always a thing for me. You'll find that's a common theme for me. If I have a word, it's been curiosity forever. And I was really, really curious about the intricacies of how mortgages worked, right? The bank I was with didn't love that, I don't think, all that much, because I was asking a lot of very, very deep questions on how does this whole thing work on the back end, right? And ended up going independent with Nexa Mortgage, actually, in February of 2020. Okay. So we know what happened in March of 2020, right?
Sure do.
and it was a wild time. I had my wife and I were expecting our first baby, and in August of 2020, we had him in August of 2020. So it was like, all right, giddy up, Adam. Let's figure out how this is going to go. Didn't have a book of business to refinance, right? Because it was with the bank. They were pretty protective of that, which makes sense. So while that was happening, everybody was refinancing their book of business. They were forgetting about their purchase partners, right? So I decided to shift gears at that point and really pound the pavement with the realtors and financial advisors and really start to create a lot of good networks around that. And that is now, 6 years later, definitely seeing the fruits of what that looks like. My long time partner in the business, Cassie, was a processor and assistant at the bank. And she joined me a year later in 2021 with Nexa, and then opened up Mammoth Mortgage in January of 24, and have in short term grown the team to 5 here. So that's kind of my journey.
Wow. I think people listening, one of the biggest questions was that I hope I'm asking the right question. What people like to know is that, obviously going from Nexa to opening up your own company, there were things or decisions that you wanted to do to open up your own. What advice would you give someone if they're thinking about opening up, or if you're in retail and you want to convert to open up your own shop? Because we see that. Or if you're working for a bank and you want to open up your own shop, we see that. What advice would you give them? Because you went through that part. I went from a broker to Shalice and I opening up our own. But I mean, that was 27 years ago. So like, there are things that changed that you could help us with. Talk us through that journey, and maybe even share a little bit of pain or some scared moments that you kind of walk through in that part of that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I, like I said, curiosity, right? So always was really poking in different directions, trying to figure out the entire industry and how it worked. I think the biggest thing while I was at Nexa, I've always been a legacy guy, right? And owning something and really having that. Yeah. Right, exactly. And that's always been a part of me. So I always knew that I was going to open up my own shop. That process was very strategically done because they were able to handle the compliance and accounting side of it. I was able to set up the systems and the process and the customer journey and really dial in the technology and how I wanted that to look. I was a pretty early guy. I think I was in the 190 loan officer range when I started with Nexa. So they were pretty new. And it was a good little stepping stone to have that piece of it. So I think if I'm going to give anybody advice, it's be curious, really do the deep dive on what it's all going to take. Compliance and accounting is always the kind of the two scary things for originators, right? To really identify and get a grasp on. Yeah. I don't want to say it's not as scary as it seems, but I don't. It really isn't that crazy. We've got the technology in place these days. If you're using the right systems and the right software, it makes it pretty simple to do it, but you got to be curious about it, and you got to really put a plan in place and a system in place to make sure that that's taken care of.
Going from working for someone to going on your own, what was the biggest challenge that you didn't see that you want other people to recognize ahead of it?
I would say treating it like a business, right? And I think wearing all the different hats that are worn when you run a business, right? You got to be prepared for that. You got to really do a deep dive on what that's going to look like and put a plan in place for you. And then more importantly, plan out what you want your team to look like, right? Because we all got strengths and weaknesses. I think if there was any unlock to my career, it was getting the right team in place. And
Yeah.
the ladies, and now Adam just joined us. So I got 3 ladies, Cassie, Kenzie, and Brenna. And then Adam just joined us here in February to kind of continue to keep up with the momentum and what we got going on.
Yeah.
And they've just been integral for what I identified my weaknesses, right? And I put people in place to really, really help on that front. So I think building out what you want that team structure to look like, building out what you want your systems and processes to look like for the compliance and the accounting and really the customer journey, right? I think really having that bulletproof plan is the key.
2 things. I want to go back to the very beginning of, I don't think we do a good enough job and of talking about mortgage occupation to college students. Like, I don't feel like professors go out and talk about, hey, have you thought about the mortgage space? And us as an industry, we need to do better at being able to support that, being able to get in colleges and be able to talk about it. Here you are being mentored at probably a pretty scary pivotal point of some problems that happened in a family business that you thought you were taking over possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And yet now that journey is ended, and now you're looking at these different journeys. And where was the discussion of, hey, what about mortgage, Adam? And yet you ended up in a bank, and then you saw these crazy mortgage people, and you're like, I think I could do it better than they can. And you're like, that's what I want. And then you went and got it. But I think we could do a better job of talking to colleges and taking over and being able to explain that this is the greatest industry. It pays stupid, and we don't talk about it enough.
I agree with you, Chris. I mean, I think it definitely could be talked about a lot more, but it's, and I say this a lot to customers and to partners and everything, like mortgages suck, right? Like nobody wants a mortgage. They want the house, right? So I think the job in itself, right, and the product in itself is not sexy, right? So I think from that angle, it's a hard sell, but I think, well, what you said, the opportunity is unbelievable. Like if you really treat it like a business and you try to go out and grow it that way, like the possibilities are endless, right? The income potential is wild. What can happen? Wow. So yeah, wow. It is.
I want to grab Rob's question, but I want to talk about, before we get to it, is, he's going to have to ask you something. Yeah. Okay. So
happy birthday, Rob, by the way. Sorry, I got to give that
shout out to Rob. I mean, he just keeps getting older and older and older. And he was barely out of diapers when he started to work for us. And he's graduated to pull-ups now. So that's cool to see Rob on that. But hey, walk us through structure of your team, because we talked about transferring over. You went from bank to another broker to opening your own. And I think people want to understand, Adam, the structure of your 5 employees that are currently employed and kind of what they do to be able to work in the side on Mammoth.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're a core guy, right, Chris?
I am
kind of descendant to the core, right? And I actually
I am birthed out of the core.
And so Amir Syed was also birthed out of the core, right? And he started coaching, him and Justin Lapotton, right? So I actually, in the beginning of 2024, coached with Justin in Go Coaching. I did a 6-month stint with them. Loved a lot of it. I took a lot out of it. It was great from the fact of how to structure the team, right? So you call them LP1s, LP2s. In my process, I've got 2 home loan strategists, which is the LP1. And what they're really doing is helping me on the front end. So having initial strategy sessions with with new pre-approvals. And then even busting into a lot of the rate lock consultations with what we're doing once we nail down an accepted offer. So those two home loan strategists are really helping on the front end of things and communicating with the customers out of the gate till they get an accepted offer. Once they get an accepted offer, they do the rate lock consultations, or I do the rate lock consultations. And then it goes off to the lifeblood of Mammoth Mortgage, the processing team, Cassie and Kenzie. And they take it from that initial disclosures to the submission. So Cassie's been in the industry a long time. She's seen all the different phases. She was an LO for a year. She's been a processor, closer, all this stuff. So she does basically like a pre-underwrite for us, because I am a firm believer that we can have 95% of the job done before it gets submitted to an underwriter, right? And setting up that file right, making sure we're documented well, making sure we're hitting all the different nuances, and trying to get it to 3 to 5 conditions at the most coming out of underwrite, I think is the key to success from a speed standpoint, right? And then it gets out of
caught what Adam said. Okay. He is holding his team accountable to a number of how many conditions should come back. Like, that's thinking like a business person, and that's thinking in the new way. We manage team. You have to man. I was just talking to an owner the other day, Adam, and I said, look, managing operations is just as important as managing your sales team. And the operational side of the business has to understand who your customer is. And their customer is the loan officer, and our customer is the borrower and the referral source, right? And you managing by how many exceptions or how many conditions come back is genius. More people, Adam, need to do that. And so I hope everybody caught what you just said.
Yeah, I would agree to that. And I think it just sets up everybody for success, right? I mean, it sets the customer up for a good, clean process. It sets our partners up for a really quick approval, right? And speed to certainty is something I talk about a lot. And that's really what our claim to fame is we really try to get, this is our target. Doesn't always happen, but we want to get it approved subject to the appraisal within 10 days. Like that's our mission. Do we do it every time? No, right? There's things that come up with that for sure, but that's right. The mission, because of the fact that if we can release that uncertainty for the customer and for the agent, and make it so we're like, hey, we're sitting in a really good spot. Like, that just alleviates stress off of the entire process.
So Rob says, you're always positive. Even when shit's going bad, you stay positive. And he's like, how do you keep positivity and the team all going in that direction, even when we have a tough loan, which we all get tough loans? What goes in that side of that head, Adam, that makes you like stay into that route and not go this other route? I feel like somehow the broker has been taught, look, I got to get pissed and then it's going to get done. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. It's actually healthier the other way. But somehow they've been pre-programmed in mortgage college that getting pissed is the way to do this deal. And I'm like, man, you're too hard on your ticker. You need to not do that anymore. And by the way, I did that when I was a broker because I thought that was the way to do it. And then I got corrected. But Adam, how do you do that?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is I'm always looking forward, right? So it's like, what happened. The situation we're in is the situation we're in, but what does a yes look like, right? I was taught a long time ago, like, what does a yes look like? And what is our direction? Yeah, like, what is our direction to get this cleaned up? And I think just the fact that it's always about the solution, right? Mm-hmm. Just does keep me in a more positive mindset. And I'm a positive guy by nature. Like that's just that's me too. But I've always been a guy that you get more with honey. I don't know what that saying is, but there's some saying.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. But like you're just being nice, you create better relationships. And relationships are what matter. Like it's a relationship business at every phase of our process, right? And the better relationships you have, the more people are willing to go to bat for you. And I think that's really what we're seeing with our teams, with you guys, especially like um, the teams are just jiving well together because we're positive, we're upbeat, we're willing to do what we need to do to get to that yes, right?
You move a lot of mountains that way.
Big time, big time, firm believer.
So you had a record-setting first quarter.
Yeah, we did. Was up. So it's a pretty wild journey. The momentum is real. So doubled from 24 to 25. Wow. Actually doubled from 23 to 24, and then 24 to 25. And the Q1 we're up. We're up 65% over Q1 of last year. So just trying to keep up with the momentum. But yeah, we were number one with you guys in Q1.
And you're one of the staff's favorites, just because you guys they just jive together. Like being number one and being number one's favorite staff. Like I got originators that they're great and I love them, but man, they're freaking hard on my staff. And every once in a while, I got to call them and go, "Hey, you got to back off a little bit because we want fans, not haters. And fans work hard for you. Haters shut down."
Yes,
and you guys are amazing at that. But what did you learn about the takeaway of the first quarter that you're rolling in? You just came from my boot camp, which we'll talk about here in a second. But what did you learn in the first quarter that you want to change with inside your company here in the second quarter?
Really, it's just dialing in the systems, right, and the process, and keeping up and being curious about AI and how it can help us, and just making sure that we're staying one step ahead, creating efficiencies in the process. That's a big that's what keeps me up at night right now, because if we continue on the pace that we're on, like it's going to be either hiring more bodies and getting some help for us, or just becoming as efficient as possible before we do that. That's the ideal route.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, I see your company and the growth that you're doing. I would imagine that you're at that spot now. You've got a lot of all the foundations put into place, that now it's hiring LOs to come underneath this company, or are you planning on keeping it the size that it is?
That's it. It's a great question, Chris. And I have been back and forth on this so many times.
I mean, you're curious, so I gotta pull into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is. I am curious about all of it. Like, I love the unit that we have. We have such a good culture, and like that is just so important to me. And I think that's from a scale standpoint, slow and not slow, I guess, but steady with the right culture is and making sure we got the right people to fit with the team. So I'd like to say we're gonna stay the size we are, because like I like what we've got going on and where we're going, but just being real, the momentum. I've never paid for an ad. I've never bought a lead, right? So all of our stuff is purely organic. It's realtor relationships, it's financial advisor relationships, it's past customer relationships, right? So like that momentum, you can't turn that off, nor do you want to, right?
Yeah.
So actively, very much so, keeping me up at night, trying to keep up with that.
To figure out the path. You haven't got it. You haven't committed to one way or the other, have you?
I haven't. I have not. And that's something we could probably talk about a little bit more.
Sure. You just came from our playbook. We do a 1-day playbook for loan officers, kind of a fun thing at night. And it's a lot. It starts at 8 and you're done at 4, and yeah, you get a little lunch in there. But what was some takeaways, or what would you tell people or encourage or not encourage to go to the playbook? And what were some things that you took away from you just coming from it?
Yeah. So I think we do a pretty good job of, we talked about human to human. So I call it belly to belly, right? So it's
Yep.
building the relationships and doing that. I took a lot out of that conversation because I think we do a really good job of it, but I think we can do more to celebrate with our customers, to build that relationship a little bit deeper. I'm a big strategy guy, like global financial picture, personal finance, at heart. So we do a lot of that, but I think the celebration aspect of things. And then the other thing that I took from it is
Celebrating with your clients better. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, celebrating with your clients better. Yeah.
Yep.
I think we can do a better job of that. I think we do a really good job already, but there's another level that we discussed
There
for
is.
sure.
For sure.
And that's a big thing. And then tracking more, right? Getting the data in line. Being a relationship guy and really going that route more so than anything so far has been awesome, but really getting some data together to make sure that we can continue to keep up. So that's the other thing, is tracking more stuff.
Yep.
But
that's
awesome.
cool. It was fun to have you. And you did good in the sales contest. We don't want to tell them what the sales contest is, but you did good in the sales contest. To your market, just for relatability. So your market, average loan size is
like 260.
Okay. So you got to sling a lot of loans. And product is normally what? Conventional and some govy?
Yeah, so I've really streamlined to conventional and govy. I've really kept the non-QM and the construction and land and all that stuff as not a part of our mix, and that's really about delivering that speed in that customer journey.
Okay, so if your average loan size, to give Adam a little credit here, average loan size around 260, and his product is conventional and some govy stuff. What's the goal for the total amount of production for the year for 26?
250 is the number for units. We did 167 last year. And if we keep pace on what we did Q1 over Q1, we'll be well over that. Is kind of the
250 units
target. Yeah, 250 units.
That would be
equate out to around that 80 million or so.
Yeah, that is amazing. And your market town size?
40,000 in Wausau, which is the big city in central northern Wisconsin right now where we're at. So a lot of rural area.
Plus, we have to do our income in 9 months because of winter up north versus if you're in Arizona, it feels like they'll say no, the summer's softer, but they don't have a old man winter like we have old man winter, especially up northern Wisconsin. What is a big hairy goal for you, and what does it look like? Wrapping this up in the next 5 years, like if you had to dream really big, Adam, what would dreaming really big look like for you in the next 5 years as far as your business?
Yeah. It was always my target's been that 100 million mark, which I think we're gonna be able to do in the next year or two. So 5 years from now, it's really having the process and the team in place and really kind of continuing to grow. I'd say from a unit standpoint, my team's probably going to be like, oh boy, but
you're going to scare them here. You're going to scare them.
I just have that 400, 500 ish mark on my radar. It's starting to kind of come on the radar to get to for households helped, and it's just impacting people, right?
Yeah. I just love it. I love your heart. I love the ability that you're curious, but you're kind and you're looking your quote of okay, I get it. This happened. Now how do we find the yes? I just think is an amazing mindset that we can all learn from. That's really cool. Uh, I'm leading you with this last question. I hope you're ready for it, Adam.
All right.
Hit you. You're sitting in college and this family business, this dream, kind of slipped. And I had a family business that my mom and dad had that I thought I was going to lead, by the way. So we have that in common, and that slipped from me. But now you're back at college and you're starting to get re-mentored and saying, hey, maybe we should look at this financial industry, et cetera, through that whole journey. And you were probably what, 20 at the time?
Yeah, right around there.
What advice would you go back and give that 20-year-old?
Oh, that's a good one. Maybe just take it more serious earlier, I guess. College was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take it more serious a little bit earlier. And I think that the big thing that I would go back to is get your health in order, Adam. Right. So I had some back issues in my 20s, was way overweight, lost a ton of weight. And that's paid huge dividends in so many ways. And I think for me, it would have been just get back to your athletic self from high school and just lean into that and be a healthier human, because it just translates in so many different ways and impacts so many different things. And I want that for my kids, right? I want that for my family. I want to be here a long time for my wife, the absolute rock in my life. And I want to be able to watch my kids grow old. So it'd be get your health in order a little bit earlier.
That is such great advice. I love that part. Adam, I love your mindset. I love the way you think. I love what you're going to do for your next goals. I'm already thinking of something really cool to send you tied to your 500 and that kick butt logo that's on your hat. I'm excited to be able to celebrate with you the day that you hit that. And thanks for being on Coaching with Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate it a bunch, Chris. You're a legend in our industry, man. And I just appreciate how you give back to the community that has served you well over time. And I aspire to be in that position one day. So thank you.
Well, you're going to pass me, brother. You're going to pass me. You're young. You got it. You got all the cool things. Like, you're going to pass me. But I appreciate you, Adam. Have a great day. Thanks.
Take care.